Recently, I wrote a tweet that went viral. Yes, I know. Thank you. I'm very #blessed. The weird thing is, though, it's never a tweet that I feel should go viral. Like, say, a link to a video that I spent hours researching, writing, filming, and editing. But that's just the way the internet is. Sometimes the only thing people really want is the sort of derivative, obvious observation that you wrote while laying on the sofa eating nachos. So for the past few days, I've had a lot of different friends pinging me to let me know that they saw my kind of boring tweet in strange places. And I thank them and I ask them to give me something as a reward for this virality. As of yet, no one has actually done so. Like, oh, I'm at the top of r/white people Twitter. Thanks. Venmo me $20 for white people. Anyway, this was the tweet I sent. I fucking hate grocery store checkout screens asking me if I want to donate $20 to end child hunger or whatever. You're a $10 billion corporation. I'm using a coupon to get 50 cents off a bag of potatoes. Why don't you donate $20 to end child hunger? Also, I only just now noticed that I misspelled potatoes. Jesus Christ, how could 280,000 people have such low standards? I've been thinking about this topic a lot, though. Not just the concept of grocery stores asking you to donate money to support an unspecified charity, but the more general idea of large corporations placing the onus on you as an individual to do the right thing and make the world a better place when the corporations themselves are often the ones who are responsible for fucking the world up in the first place. Take Safeway, for example, my local grocery store. Back in 2013, they raised $38.4 million for charities related to things like breast cancer, prostate cancer, muscular dystrophy, people with disabilities. That's a lot of money going to what I'm sure are some very good causes. But in fact, it's only about twice as much money as Safeway paid their CEO, Steve Bird, 10 years earlier. He got $19.5 million in 1 year. In a year when Safeway endured a labor strike from farmers who were being underpaid, and which led to the company to actually see a significant drop in profits. In 2011, Steve got $11.5 million, plus use of a private jet for his personal travel, among other perks. In 2014, Safeway was valued at $9 billion. People, myself included, often have trouble truly understanding large numbers like that without some context. The amount Safeway raised for charity in 2013 was about 0.4% of their total value. And they didn't even have to donate that money. That didn't come out of their profit. They got you to do it, and then they put out press releases bragging about what they donated to charity so that you would feel good about continuing to shop there. Meanwhile, income inequality in the United States is one of our biggest problems we're facing, and it's the worst that it's been in the past 50 years. What better way to illustrate that inequality than to point to a CEO who makes $287,485 per hour more than his own cashiers? And yeah, in 2013, Steve made $287,500 an hour, assuming he actually managed to work 40 hours a week. What does income inequality lead to besides a resurgence in interest in the guillotine? The research shows us that nothing good. Higher social inequality correlates with more homicides, more drug use, more health problems, fewer rights for women and minorities, lower life expectancy, and a complete breakdown in trust between strangers. But hey, they got you to donate $1 to a charity you otherwise wouldn't have supported, so that makes up for a $9 billion corporation that enables all those other things, right? Nah? But Rebecca, you say, you shop at Safeway. I saw you in the Halloween aisle on November 1st, filling a shopping cart with half-price Russell Stover peanut butter pumpkins. All right. No need to candy shame me. Those things are almost half as good as Reese's peanut butter cups, and they're basically free the day after Halloween. No jury would convict me. But yeah, I live in a society. I require foodstuff to live. And I live in an apartment with no yard, so I can't yet grow my own food and live off the land. Also, I can't keep plants alive. My friend gave me a spider plant for my birthday 2 weeks ago. It's not doing well, you guys. I don't know how this happened. I'm sorry, Ashley. And, you know, I don't just purchase things that I require to survive. You know, I purchase things that I desire, but don't necessarily need. And that consumption of things that I don't need, whether that's food, barely edible chocolate products, or purple flocked velvet skulls from Target, all of that contributes to the major ills of our society. Income inequality, yes. Poor working conditions in developing countries, and of course, global warming. I saw this chart the other day that ostensibly comes from a survey of Germans, asking them what actions they take to reduce CO2 and comparing their answers to the actual benefits those actions have. Apparently, a lot of Germans think that banning plastic bags will help CO2 levels, which it really doesn't. But it does help keep plastic garbage out of our oceans. So honestly, I don't really care if they don't know exactly which environmental disaster that they're trying to avoid by carrying cloth bags to the grocery store, so long as they're doing it. But on the other end of the spectrum, people didn't seem to think that reducing their meat intake would help all that much when it comes to CO2 levels, when in fact going vegetarian, according to this data, would result in a reduction of about 790 kilograms of CO2 per person per year, one of the biggest impact options on this chart. There are about 83 million people in Germany, of which about 75 million eat meat. So if all of those 75 million people stopped eating meat, that means they would save about 59,250,000,000 kilograms, or about 59 million metric tons. And that's quite a lot, isn't it? I mean, okay, it is a lot, but America, one of our largest producers of CO2 is a company called American Electric Power, and they saved 63 million metric tons just by switching a few of their coal plants over to natural gas. But that takes money. And so instead of our government pressuring these large corporations, which account for the vast majority of greenhouse gas emissions, to simply replace older equipment, install cleaner options, switch to renewable resources, and other relatively simple solutions, we're putting the onus back on individuals. Like, sure, Vistra Energy, that's another one. They produced 100 million metric tons of carbon in 2017. But instead of following Illinois' lead and getting all of the United States to force them to shut down their coal power plants, why don't we just convince 75 million Germans to give up their bratwurst permanently? Fuck, I mean, I'm a vegetarian, and even I know that that makes no sense. It's just not going to happen. If you're feeling hopeless about the true purpose of individual outcome after I talk about all of this, I do have one more recent study I wanted to mention. Yes, you personally consuming less stuff will only make a small dent in humanity's total carbon output. But in a way, it's kind of like voting. One vote doesn't really seem like it means a lot, but if you add it to a bunch of other votes, suddenly it works. If you stop consuming so much, and so do I, and so do our neighbors, eventually corporations will be forced to slow down their supply. And that will be an overall good, not just for climate change, but for everything. On the other hand, you don't need to wait for collective action to occur in order to reap benefits from your own individual action. A recent study from researchers at University of Arizona found that people who buy less stuff tend to be happier. People who keep buying stuff but buy environmentally friendly products don't get that same boost. And that's great because not buying something is a million times better than buying a green product in most cases. My bike is a million times better than a Tesla. Hell, my old California emissions tested and passed Toyota is better than me buying a new Tesla because the small amount of gas I use until this thing dies pales in comparison to the output of a factory that is producing new car parts. Yes, consumerism is fun, and I have definitely impulse bought things that I did not need just to get that little jolt of serotonin. But ultimately, it is bad for me and for society. And now I know that people who don't buy random stuff because they care about the environment tend to be happier. Or happy people tend to not buy random stuff because they care about the environment. It's a correlation, not causation. But either way, there is still the same takeaway. Buying stuff doesn't ultimately make us happy. That comes from somewhere else. I encourage you to find out where that comes from for you. Like, maybe it comes from lobbying your governmental representatives into holding carbon monster corporations accountable for their pollution. That's just one thought. Maybe it's knitting.